normally have a whole bunch of extra links or little extras at the end of our slideshow every week. But this week I'm going to do something a little different. I am going to give you an author talk because there's an author that I really like. And when I was looking at our Space Rocks unit this week, this one book kept coming into my head and I wanted to share it with you. So that's what I'm going to do this week. But there are other extras in the slideshow. You know, there's so many resources you can go and look at different parts of the Space Rock. So go and check those out if you want some of these extras, those extras. But I'm going to talk to you about an author that I really like who is also an illustrator. It's Brian Selznick, and you might be familiar with him. He's done some of the illustrations on lots of different books, but most recently he's been doing new covers and some illustrations for the Harry Potter series. But Brian Selznick is not just an illustrator, he is also an author. He writes for different ages too, so there's different books. I'm going to start off with the book you probably know by him, and that is The Invention of Hugo Cabre. This is a wonderful book. This is actually my favorite book of his, but it is not the book I was going to talk about. But we're going to talk about this author. Since Brian Selznick is an illustrator, he uses those illustrations with his words too. So something I love about this book, Hugo Cabre, is it's written in part pictures and it's written in part words. So sometimes you have to look at the pictures and figure out what's going on. And then when you read the story, it continues, but you have to use those images. So sometimes students really like that because it's a different way of reading. And that's part of the reason I really like his style. I also just love his illustrations because there's so many. I mean, this book looks super thick. It reminds me kind of like of a Harry Potter in the book in the sense that it's so thick, but there's other aspects to it. So something I like about what he does is it's historical fiction. There are some true stories or true aspects of history that are intertwined into his fictional work. This book is also a book or a movie, and the movie is really awesome. You might have seen that. I think it's streaming. It's a few years old, but The Invention of Hugo Cabre by Brian Selznick. So this book is what got me to really recognize Brian Selznick. And then once I read this book and started looking at his other books, I started noticing how he illustrated a lot of other things that I read too. So this book is amazing. The other book that I really wanted to show you is this one. And it's a little loved here. It's called Wonderstruck, and it's also by Brian Selznick. And this is the book I kept thinking of when I was thinking of Space Rocks this week. This book is also, look, by the way, I have it all marked. I used to teach literacy, and this is one of the books I would use. But this book too has pictures and words with how they tell the story. But it's a little different in the sense that there is there's like two stories going on. So one story is only told in words, and then one story is only told in pictures. And at some point, you're going to see how they kind of combine. And so this book is really cool. But the thing that I really like about it is in the story, they have the meteorite that we talk about, that the biggest one in the United States. That was found in Oregon, and it's at the Museum of Natural History in New York City. So that's something I love about that because it is in here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it, but that is in there. And they also talk about other parts of that museum as well, and some of the other exhibits there. But that is really my big connection to this book. And it doesn't have to be all science and all facts to learn from it. So I was like, oh yeah, there's a real meteorite in New York City. And I remember it was in this book. So, that might be something you like. Something else I like about his style is he always puts faces on the spine of the book on that there. There's another book that he wrote called The Marvels. And I read this one as well. And I will tell you, it's not my favorite out of those three. I love that it was gold here, but it's not my favorite book. And this one I do not think has a movie. Wonderstruck does have a movie that came out a couple years ago. I didn't like it, but maybe you will. I don't know. And then also, Brian Selznick also released a book for kids much younger than you. So when my son was much younger, I bought it for him. It's called Baby Monkey Private Eye. And it's really cute because it's got a baby monkey, of course. And so once again, he is using his like images as well as words to tell a story. But something I like about this is this monkey has a job as a private eye. So he has all these little cases to solve. And one of the cases I really like here, and this is something else that's really common with all of the Brian Selznick books that I have read. He always like intertwines some sort of history into them. So this one is the case of the missing spaceship. And so in here, if you look at that image, there's all kinds of things in there that are space themed. And in the very back of the book is a bibliography, and it tells you what those are. So like this right here, this picture of the moon is from one of the first films ever by George Méliès, and that was referenced in Hugo Cabre as well. But he in the book the little monkey is reading famous space crimes, and there's like a spaceship here. So there's all kinds of references to space on this page. And so somebody's coming to the door and they're going to say, hey, someone stole my spaceship. And so look at that. That's an astronaut. So it goes through the whole story of baby monkey having to solve the case. But this time, baby monkey is really, really tired. So he has to take a nap. But at the very end, when baby monkey goes to solve the case, look, he solves the case. He figures out who stole the spaceship. And they go to look. Who is it? It's a mouse. That's really silly. But when I turn the page here, this is the part that I really like. This says, hooray for baby monkey. And maybe you do or do not know who that is. But that's another astronaut that we are going to be studying later this unit. And that's Mae Jemison. And she was the first African-American woman in space from the United States. So that is awesome. So he finds ways to kind of share little bits and pieces of history in any of the books that I've read of his. These are the 4 that I have. I've seen some other ones too. But really the one that I was looking at for you guys is Wonderstruck. But if any of those books sound good to you, I really hope that you have an opportunity to read them in some way, maybe on a digital device, or if you can borrow them from the library. But these are all really great books. So I hope you enjoyed my author talk today. Take care. Peace.